Welcome to the first LEGO League Into Orbit season. Your crew will join thousands of teams around the world, embarking on a mission to explore, challenge, and innovate in the demanding and inspiring expanse we call space. There are 3 steps you should take before you get started. First, read the missions in the challenge and robot game rules in the challenge guide. Make sure you understand the constraints for the missions. If the rules don't clearly say something is illegal, it isn't. Next, as a team, identify 1 or more missions to solve. Pick the mission that looks the most fun, fascinating, or even easiest to perform consistently. You can always add more missions if you have time. Once you have selected a mission, design a robot using LEGO Mindstorms technology that can solve the mission. You may need to rewrite your code a few times and build a few different versions of your robot before it performs consistently. Don't worry, this is all part of the challenge. As you work with your team, keep the first core values in mind. You and your team members have many hidden talents and skills. Now let's take a tour of the Into Orbit missions. Remember, very few teams have time to do all the missions, so pick the ones that are the most fun and interesting to you and your team. Prioritize. The robot needs to send payload rockets rolling down the space travel ramp. The first cart is preset and ready to go, but the robot needs to load the other 2 from base. Start each payload clearly rolling down the space travel ramp. For each roll, the cart must be independent by the time it reaches the first track connection. Solar panels need to be angled toward or away from you, depending on strategy and conditions.
First LEGO League is a fun, exciting, mentor-based experiential STEM program for kids ages 9 to 16. It's an alliance between FIRST, an international organization to inspire young people founded by Dean Kamen, and the LEGO Group. It's one in a progression of 4 FIRST programs designed to foster 21st century life skills and spark kids' interest in science, technology, engineering, and math, so they become innovative problem solvers able to tackle the world's biggest challenges. Each year, FIRST LEGO League teams are presented with a real-world theme, like transportation or waste management. Over a minimum 8-week season, they select and research a problem based on the topic, then devise innovative ways to help solve that problem. Teams also build and program a LEGO Mindstorms robot to solve a series of robot game missions, all while practicing the signature core values, which emphasize good sportsmanship and having fun. If you'd like to get involved with First LEGO League in your area, visit us online.
North Bay and Sudbury's FLL tournament, and so he's going to go through with you the rules. He'll do this again the morning of the tournament, but a few of the teams asked if we could do it a little bit earlier because so you weren't sidelined the morning of, and you could clarify any of the rules with him. So here's Darcy. He'll go through all the missions with you, and then feel free to ask any questions online. You can chat in questions, and we'll relay them on to Darcy. There you go.
Thank you very much. Welcome. Welcome to the impromptu coaches meeting for North Bay and Sudbury. We've done this. We're doing this as a trial, so bear with us as we kind of go through various components. A couple of the things, one of the important parts I want to talk about right off the gate is game updates. It's on the first Lego site. I believe Kale's broadcasting that on the YouTube page as well. Check the updates. First updates these as competitions carry forward. They do an update every Friday by 3 p.m. So if the competition is Saturday, the last update that we will go with is the Friday at 3 p.m. Okay, so I will check that. We will rerun these. There's lots of good information on here. Some of the stuff I am going to talk about is the updates today, as well as the updates that they travel through. Looking at the field for starters, the field itself, and Kel, if you want to switch to the top, the field must be centered, and is centered east to west, but flush with the south wall, which is the inside here. So the field itself. So if your competition, your practice field needs to be square. The competition fields will be flush to south, but will be centered east to west. We're not worried about the north wall at all, which may come into play as you're through several of the missions. One of the other ones is, those that you can see, you may not be able to see that on the video here. We have a level. We'll be checking the level. If you look at these two fields, and we put this for demonstration purposes, your field may start off level. Do yourself a favor, double check the level at least once a week, because as you can see, we have about a half an inch, and this front field looks like it's off. In reality, it's the back field that's off. Okay, so we want to make sure that is level, so your robot's running smooth all the way through. Regards to the field portion, this is the base. The white line is the small thin white line is the base. The outside, any line that you see, the outside is the start of the base. So you're getting inside the base by being inside. Once you touch a line, any of the lines that you touch throughout, out here, these lines travel to infinity, as high as all the way up. The base is capped, and I don't know where my ruler went to, 12 inches. So the base itself has a frame perimeter. You must start the match inside the 12 inches. So anywhere inside the base, another portion, Kel's got a ruler for me. There we go. 12 inches, okay? Inside that portion. It also...
But once you start, you can go as tall as you want.
Tall as you want. So if you're...
Once you start, even in the base, once your program started.
Once you push your button,
you can
now go forward.
6 feet tall if you want.
Yeah. So
but each time you go back to base, does it have to be back down under that 12 inch?
No, just when you start your next mission. So you can come into base 4 feet tall if you want.
Yes.
Okay.
Once you bring that...
As soon as you start a next mission, then you better be down?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
At start, every time you start, you must, once again, be under that 12-inch rule. You also must be inside. This is a hard wall here. So this 12-inch back here, you can't be starting like that, okay? So you must be, if you've got a jig, sorry, I don't want to break somebody's jig here, but if you have a jig that starts like that, partly because we don't recommend it, is that each field is going to be a little different, but also the walls are not part of the field. The field stops in this portion here, okay? Again, as Brian mentioned, as your robot comes back in, it can come in any portion, all kinds of pieces hanging onto it. Once it comes in, it's just when you start it, you start underneath that 12 inches and inside the perimeter, okay? The other portion of the start portion is all of these pieces here can be off on a side table if they need to, okay? With the two technicians at the table, the rest of the team cheering them along beside. At the start,
at the tournament, we will provide tables to the side, or you're more than welcome to bring your own table.
Okay. The start of the robot at the competition, we don't want the kids over top of the robot like this. Okay. The only thing they can have is to have their one hand and touch the robot. They can have it ready to go, When they go, they'll go 3, 2, 1, Lego. At the L of Lego is the start of the match, not 3, 2, leg, go. It's 3, 2, the L will be the start. Okay? And all they're doing, you can't have anything else. You can't have a hand on the field. They just have one student will have the hand over top of the robot. Okay? Any questions in regards to basing, setup of the field portion of it?
As far as that start's concerned with the hands on the rails, that's just the very beginning. So when we start coming back in and we've got to change attachments in that, it's okay to have
they can
your
be on
hands,
that,
obviously.
but when you launch your robot, you cannot have your hand on the robot to line it up.
Okay.
So I can't have my arm like this, lining it up. I can line it up, I can step away and push it.
When I launch,
Okay.
button has to be
Button,
pushed.
you can't
all
have any,
hands off.
you can't, yeah, all hands off. So as they do, you try and have your students come in, set it, line up, push the button and go. Hands back up.
If we have a jig that we're holding onto, are we allowed to hold onto the jig?
No.
Press the button?
The jig must sit separate. The
Okay.
jig becomes technically part of your
Okay.
robot at that point.
Okay.
Okay, the only time when you're launching is the one button press. Okay, because if you're holding the jig, you're now manipulating. I can squeeze. Ooh, you know, you can line it up correctly. The jig must line your robot up correctly. Must be complete autonomous is what they've said.
But once the robot's left the base, and strategically as your kid should be switching, getting ready for the next mission. I love that one because it's the hardest thing to tell your kids not to watch the robot run.
Yes.
And they all want to, but they should, for time-wise, be strategically getting the attachments and jigs and whatever ready for the next mission.
Now the jig as well has to be under that 12-inch field, or it has to be below
Yes.
the actual arm?
Everything in base must be under 12 inches and inside the actual frame of the field itself. Okay. There was a question regarding extending outside the field. You're able to extend, once your robot is in motion, you're able to extend past the field area. And one of that is that, somebody quickly tell me the solar panels. The solar panels can be tilted this way or this way. You can extend past, but there's also what happens is called interference. So if you happen to see the other team's field, because these are pretty close to how the two fields will be matched. If this team is already in this position and is on their side of the field, your robot comes across and touches their robot, you'll be charged with interference. They will get the points for the credit for that mission. Okay, so it's, if you see another robot in that position doing the same thing at the same time as yours, stay away. Or if you think that they're changing the position, because you get points depending on how both solar panels are arrayed.
But if a team changes that over facing to our table, say they got the points, we can go out and push it backwards, right?
Sure you can. Yes.
And so this one's considered, like, there should be communications between the two teams for these two.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with talking to the other team and saying, we're gonna hit them or you're gonna hit them, and you should communicate. It's still strategic, you look for yourself, but this one, most of the times, both teams get the points. So strategically, there's nothing wrong. He's talking rules, I'm talking strategy. You should be talking with the other team and work together. But there's nothing against that, and strategically, you should be doing it if you're doing this mission. Because it depends, because if you hit it and they hit it, or vice versa, who hits it first, anyway. Because a lot of times if one team hits it, you won't be able to hit it back.
At the end of the match, whatever position is at the end of the match is who gets the points.
Right,
yes.
They don't both get points.
No.
Like if we hit it and then they hit it back, we
We've
don't
lost,
get points.
We've lost
They
the
only
mission,
get
they own
points.
the points.
Right, but if you do both of them, there
If
isn't.
you do both of them, you get double.
And this team gets,
One's a push, one's a
say
pull.
this table did both of them, they get 40, and this team gets 22.
Because they got one, yeah.
No, they don't even have to touch them.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So strategically, if your robot does both, you should talk to this team and say, hey, don't hit that. We can get you more points.
Yeah.
And there's other variations of that.
And first likes to have what's called co-opetition.
Yeah.
And this is just, they always like to introduce this at the first level. Again, strategy, I won't touch on strategy, just primarily rules, because you know that's where your mentors figure the process out.
And my advice strategically, when you compete, you're not worried about these people, what score they get. You just worry about your score. Because it's not whether you beat this table or not. That's got nothing to do with it. You're figuring, how do I get myself the score, and it may involve talking to the other team about those.
Whether that means helping someone else, it doesn't matter.
Yes, yeah. A lot of people say, I don't want to give them the points, but no. If you end up giving them,
you get more,
if you give them 22 points, that means you got 40.
Yeah.
So you'd be nuts not to.
So, regarding the robot, there has been explanations about, and I'll explain it again, carrying versus pushing. Okay? Carrying is a definition where if your robot is carrying a component, okay, and all the weight is being held by the robot, that's the definition of carrying. Okay? If you take your robot away and the piece falls, then you're carrying it. So there's a definition of pushing, which, once again, if you move your robot away, that piece doesn't move, but the robot is pushing that component. Okay? You're allowed to push and leave components out there. You can also leave parts of your robot out in the field. So the definition of pushing is when they're talking about, first one is the crater, is if you're traveling from, always must be from east to west. If you're carrying a component and it's going to travel across and push the gate down, if it's carried, the whole robot must travel across the crater. If you're pushing, only the pushing portion needs to go across the craters to travel across. The other explanation, and it was on the Windows, or sorry, the Windows update, sorry. the first update, and I'll read exactly what it says, and this was on November 13th. The gate must be flattened by the end of the match, but how and when that happens doesn't matter. So if we understand what I've just said there, is that if you're pushing something across, the gate must be down in order to score. How it goes down, that's first doesn't care. Okay? So how you're doing that. And again, the definition of carry versus push. If it's carried, it's attached to the robot. The whole robot must now come across the event. So if it's carrying, if I'm carrying, I must carry it and travel completely across and be clear of the gate.
So just to be clear, so if, for example, you left home base with that on top.
Yes.
Got it lined up, stopped, backed up quickly, dropped it down on the ground, could you then push it across?
You're sorry, you're going.
So you leave home base with that piece attached.
Yes. Okay.
You go around, you get yourself lined up, then you back up quickly so that piece falls off your robot.
Okay.
On this side.
On this
On
side.
this side, on this side of
On the other
of the
side.
barrier, yeah.
You can go up.
Can you now push that over?
Yes. Yes.
Good.
Because it's
Just verify. Perfect.
because you're pushing. Once again,
Yeah.
the definition of the actual event is you're pushing something across. How it gets out there
Doesn't matter.
doesn't matter. It's that you to push the device across. It has to be able to push.
And in that case, your robot would not have to cross
Yes.
100%, as long as
Yes.
that object
Yep.
crosses 100%.
If it doesn't, but if you get out there and this piece does not fall off,
Yeah, then you gotta go right across with it.
you got to go all the way across it. Okay. So.
Got it, thanks.
Does the robot have to cross? Like if you got your piece down and you push it across and the gate goes down, is that full points, or does the robot also have to cross for more points?
Again, the definition of carry versus push.
Let's say push, so let's say it's dropped and pushed,
The only
goes
thing that
down,
must
is that
cross
full points?
is that actual device.
and that's full points for that
Full
mission?
points.
And
Yeah.
the one other thing you said is that it doesn't matter how that gate gets pushed down, it has to go that side to that, east to west though, right?
Yes,
You
always.
can't, you can't reach around and just push down.
Well,
behind
east,
it.
no, you got the overhead, yeah? So on east to west, say this is a Lego piece, must be all Lego. Okay, bad description here, but this piece here, if I'm pushing this piece, I can quite easily push that all the way across. So,
Coaches, you're welcome to go right up to the table.
so
also.
if that's,
There's we call it the rover mission.
yeah.
Because
So-
your rover has to completely cross it.
Yes.
And I think to answer your questions, and I can give you strategic tips, no, yes, that can do it, but you could bring that gate down 3 missions before this if you want.
Yes.
Could you reach over and pull it down?
Yes.
It doesn't, again, how we explain that is the gate must be flattened by the end of the match to get, if I slide something underneath here and that gate stays open, I don't get the points for it.
But if you're on missions on this side of the gate, you can't just turn and smack it down.
Yes, you can.
Yes,
But
but then after,
regardless, you still
yeah.
have to cross.
But then regardless, you still have to cross.
Send something.
Yes, you still must put
That's
something
what I
across
just wanna
that.
make sure.
Yeah, I think they're concerned about people getting caught on that, on that definition.
Thanks.
Regards to, the lift, I'm trying to remember what that mission is, which one that one is. The cardio. The cardio machine, if you look at the field will only be taped on the sides and not, and I'll just show you. Fancy machine here. When you lift it, I'm not sure if you can see from there, you might have to stand up, the whole mat lifts. Okay? They've strategically done that so that you can't just put something easy through it. We're almost recommending is that teams put something on, the robot drives onto that and then tries to lift. Okay? The other part is on the cardio, there's the 4 holes. It's not the 4 including the one at the top, it's the bottom 4. And all I need to see from a reffing standpoint or rule standpoint is a portion of that 4th hole. If I can look through and see a quarter, a sliver, 1/16 of an inch hole on that 4th hole, it counts. Okay? You don't have to have a complete 4th hole.
Is there any team doing this one?
Which one is it? Which one?
The
Are
cardio.
you guys actually doing it? Have you done it successfully?
We're not doing it.
It's
Not
hard.
yet.
No,
anyway.
sorry.
Oh, sorry.
It's really hard to do.
Yeah. The meteor ball. Okay. The line on this side is the east-west line. You must be pushing it from this portion, shooting it from east of the west line. It must be shot from this side in order to score points. This line here. If afterwards you can take the little wheel off, that's not part of the field that can be asked. The referees will take this off if you so desire, or the students can do it. We prefer that you ask the refs to take it off, just because if I have somebody reaching over and jumping for it, they can bump something. The refs can take that out, because that can and will get tossed around somewhere.
It's a hard location for a student
to reach over and get. Again,
That's only once the ball is dislodged from it?
yes, yeah, you can't do it. If it's sitting there in that position, you cannot ask to have that moved up the gap.
Can I do this?
It's pretty solid.
The answer is no.
That line extends all the way through
Infinity.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these lines. I think the only line that's not is the base that's 12 inches. Okay. The satellites themselves, what I'm holding on to isn't part of the satellite. The strings are not part of the satellite. So they can be, you can use them for carrying, but it does not have to be on that line. Like this portion, the satellite itself, to score, needs to go onto the lines. Similarly, our little buddy here, Gerhardt, is in, but the rope, the string does not have to be in. Okay, he's going to be starting. There you go. Yep.
But sorry, just to clarify, I just want to make sure. So would that one score because the yellow part of the satellite's over that?
Yes. Any portion of, I like to use this guy.
what is the screen in that scenario?
Because
no.
that's over top of this infinite.
Oh,
so yes.
Oh.
That will not score.
So
Anything over this infinity.
yes.
So that little yellow piece, that's enough to score.
But not
like
the
that, of
string.
course, scores.
Okay.
That scores, but
What about this?
robot.
Not part,
The
this string's
string
not
is
part of the.
the string is not part of the robot or part of the satellite. It must be any portion. The one that I had.
Okay,
I'd like to
so
just
that's a
check
good
the wide
example.
antenna. Yeah. Where's the
It's
wide?
good to know, I didn't know that.
The wide antennas.
They're all broken.
They're all broken off. But the wide antenna one is really good. Kale's just gonna put it back together for me. So to do this, and I might be going into a little bit of strategy, but as you can see how wide that is. If you do that and do that, and as long as that is crossing any line at all, that scores. Okay? Any portion of this out will score as long as it's crossing the line. I'm not sure if I'm across the line or not on that one. Okay. Just trying to think of what else I've got. Oh, Gerhardt. You must start in this position, but once you actually, if you have them in base, you can bend them and configure them any way you want. But we can't have him bent in this position before the event. He must be in his standard standing position in there. Okay. Teams can ask for adjustments. They can. I've already had a couple teams ask regards to making sure that wheels are rolling. Again, the fields we have are freshly built, so they will be, all the parts will be stiff. They'll be a little. If teams ask that, can we just check to make sure that that's working correctly? We can demonstrate that beforehand. If your technicians see an issue, remember we're going to be rotating through teams fairly quickly. If they happen to see a mission that, he's in that position at the start of the match, we're going to try and make sure we catch all that stuff, and we will double check that. It does happen, so we will always make sure that the teams, to the benefit of the doubt, will always get any adjustments that they request.
What about the satellites? Not the satellite, but solar panel. The solar panel. What if it breaks? And it breaks in
motion or not?
What if it's been adjusted and then it breaks off the top piece?
If you break it when you're trying to push it.
When you're pushing forward, we'll cross that at that point. It is if you're.
You ram something into it and it breaks.
Yes.
But you pushed it forward and it breaks off.
It breaks off. It won't. See, if you'll see the stuff probably see here, the red portion will not break off.
Yeah, the red portion's still left, but the rest of it's
gone.
That's gotta hit.
I have it. You gotta hit it pretty hard. It means you're probably hitting down here, not actually hitting that. If I drive my robot into it, that's probably going to be called field damage. But if I'm attempting to do this and it snaps off, that's a legitimate. It will be in that position. The referees will give you the benefit of the doubt again about that you're attempting to do that. It's in the proper position, and we will look at that as decided.
Did you have a question back there?
Yeah.
No.
So we have our own board at home, and we've been trying that mission.
Okay.
And a few times we've hit it, and then the top part has fallen off. Would that still count?
Okay. Has it fallen off?
Yeah.
As in like that?
Yeah.
Okay. Once you see, the red piece is the actual scoring piece. So that portion of it is actually officially in that. Now, we don't want it to be part of a strategy that you.
See that right now.
Just ram it. So again, it will be the judgment call of the referee is to decide whether you're using this or you're using a device to actual make that attempt.
Can we ask that the refs check that it's fully seated every time?
Yep, you can ask that. We will have, like I said, we have a field setup crew that will be between matches. And again, you can ask the questions. We like to have the students ask the questions. Like, see, all interaction with the referees must be with the students. Okay, or the two technicians. Your two technicians. You can have 10 students on your team. You can hand them off. You can change. You can swap it out. You can also have what's called an emergency technician. If you have catastrophic failure, that may not be catastrophic failure, but if you have one of the students that only knows how to put the wheel back on, then they're allowed to come up and assist on that point. For repairs only, you're allowed to have more than one. But ideally, there's 2 technicians, and you can trade off, you can high five off, jump in, jump back out. That's perfectly legal. Okay?
So, we have 4 runs, right?
Yes.
Is it the same as last year? Is it your best run, or is it a culmination of all your runs?
It's always your best run.
Always your best run.
Single best run.
3.
Which is hopefully your first one.
Is Heather 3? Is there 3 practice? 2 practice?
I don't know how many practice. I just know there's 4
But
qualifications.
there's 4 runs.
I believe there's only one.
One practice?
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As many practices as we can squeeze in, but that's the
Yes.
4 qualifications.
On the practice.
Minimum of 1 practice.
Yeah. On the practice rounds, you will be, if you're trying to get one mission over and over and over, practice mounts means nothing. If you want to keep running it, you want to reset it up and run it in a practice match. Okay? You think, I like to do this combination and practice that. Practice matches, it's just they have the students familiarize themselves with the field, with the noise, with the competition itself, to be comfortable with the actual mat and play.
What about, can we bring our own table and set it up somewhere and practice as much as we feel like, or no?
No, there are practice fields.
And there's going to be more practice fields than last year.
Oh,
Yes. There'll be more.
But we can't bring our own.
Well, we can't bring
Yes.
our own? Set up our own thing?
That would be, you'd have to run that through the VC of the, that's a Heather question.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yeah. Yeah, and it may be just from space restrictions and stuff, and that's again.
Probably, but you have to do it outside.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm doing this.
I don't know.
We'll bring a tent.
Yeah.
Okay, but we hit on a key one there, and I do this with my kids and I role play. This is a good one for the coaches about touching the attachments and checking things and field setup. And so, for example, I know on our team, the carts, these wheels don't roll. So if it's on here, so I role play, and all the coaches should do this with their kids. So you're the ref. Can I check the wheels on that? I'm a kid.
Yes, go ahead.
So I check them, and I'll say, the wheels don't roll very well in this. Can you fix that?
Yeah, and then wood point, we'll either adjust it, actually they don't roll very well.
And these are terrible.
And if they don't, we do have the spare parts.
Yeah.
Next doesn't roll. That's more or less squeezed. We have the parts that we can steal off the practice fields.
Yeah.
So we will always, the competition fields will be the main fields. If there's a part missing on the practice field, it's probably because we've taken it for the competition field.
But you have to coach your kids to feel comfortable talking to the ref and not scared to discuss it. And at the end, the big part is they review the score, and they have to, it's part of the program. They have to be confident enough to say, I scored that one. Or that one was up there and then the cameraman bumped it.
Yeah.
And they should be, speaking out for themselves. And a lot of times, like, they'll out of the way and be mad. No, they shouldn't have left that table unless they're 100% like, so that's never gonna go down there, no matter what you do.
Yep.
So you gotta, if that's a mission that you're running, your kids should feel confident enough to say, hey.
So if that's an issue, and the kids do it, and the wheels stick, would they still score because they did it? They asked the ref, and the ref said, well, if you move it, then we'll give you a score.
Nope.
They have to ask.
I thought it said it got by a certain point.
As long as it's moved down towards there, even if it doesn't go down, once it's cleared the orange, of course it's not.
I think by the rules, though, it has to cross.
Yes.
It has to cross this point here.
Yeah.
But it should.
So.
The first bar. Or
The
whatever.
first bar.
I know any of the ones that we've cleared usually should go right past that. Any
Yeah.
of the ones that we've tested, even if they've stuck.
Even if the wheels
Ours-
are sticky.
The girls' mission will go every time if the wheels roll. If the wheels don't roll, you end up with one cart that sticks, and the next cart fails, and the next cart fails. So I'm pushing my
Kids
kids to check them and make sure they roll, and then there's no argument at the end.
And
Because it doesn't matter if it doesn't roll. You can't say, "Hey, that didn't get out of my way. Can you push that out of the way?" Because it's not gonna happen.
Once the match starts, it's live. There is no adjustments. You can ask for it beforehand. We can check in wheels, and that's the same. As long as
But
they
if you
roll
can't
nicely.
find a wheel, if for some reason they check it, the ref said, well, it doesn't roll, but.
Yeah.
No,
We
they
don't
will
have an
always,
extra
if,
one.
if.
Yeah, then you can, then it could become a discussion, and they
Yes.
always give the benefit to the kids.
Yes, and-
But if they've never
If they
highlighted
don't
it,
ask it,
Yeah,
okay.
we will
You just
always
ask.
check to make sure the components are working as per first.
And if not, you'll have a.
As to, we're gonna go, where's Chris, who's not here? He's in hide in the corner. This is Chris's. We're doing the iPads for scoring this year. We're confident, we're 100% that this is gonna work as per. When we will, as referee, we will go through the scoring with the technicians, go through, they will actually click the send button to send the scoring to the score. There is no score amount, it's whether they've completed the mission or not completed the mission. It's a yes or no response. So they will be going yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. We will travel through all the way, and then the students click send. I didn't have it turned on.
So you'll go through
Does that mean the
successful
orbit
and
off?
non-successful missions?
We will go through the referee will go through every mission, and it's one of my pet peeves that I always say is that after a while the referees get a little burnt because there's a lot of missions, and it's fabulous that if they've completed 1, 2, 3 missions, that's amazing, and that's the positive aspect of it. It's just that we also have to go through it, and we must, if they've never attempted this mission, we still have to say not successful, didn't complete it, didn't complete it, didn't complete it. Okay, so, and that goes through. The students are allowed to take a picture of the field afterwards, or they like to take a picture after we've completed the scoring aspect of it, if they so desire. But photos and cameras have no bearing on how the outcome. We want this fun, exciting. The kids, we need them to be engaged and moving on to the next mission. There's always the next one. There's always the next one. Okay. One other thing about robots, and we'll get a little long-winded. Remind your teams only one cube up at a motor at match. You can't have more than one robot. One team, one robot at the field. Last year we had a couple teams, even in practice matches, and they've got 2 or 3 robots up at the field, and I went, nope, only one. We will look for that during practice matches, but competition, we will just ask that team to remove the secondary robot. Sometimes they have it on a cart, and you've got your backup robots on carts at the bottom. They cannot come to the field. Okay, because we don't know if they don't want anybody to change robots halfway through. One robot, one team.
But if you have a couple robots, you can swap them out for each round, for example.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. You can do you can do whatever you want.
Just run to
Rotate.
the field, that's
You
all.
just can't when you come to
By-
the
by
field.
each round, you mean each go at the table or each mission?
Go at the, each go at the table.
Each go at the
Yes,
table.
okay,
Yes.
that's fine.
When you arrive at the
Just make sure
table,
everybody's clear on that. Don't
one
you?
robot.
You can't run one mission and then swap a robot.
Right.
Question?
What happens if, say, for example, your robot, like, the brick falls off or the robot runs out of battery or something? Are you allowed to swap the robot with your secondary robot?
you can't at the field itself because you only have one robot here. You can change your brick. We recommend the teams make sure you charge your bricks. Make sure you got a fully charged. Have some backups. Do they still do the batteries, or is there just a central plug? Plug it in.
Either one.
Plug them in. Take it off. Change it.
There's battery charging stations in your pits.
Yeah, so each team should be able to charge their own portion of that. One of the descriptions we had regards to an explanation of if your robot is traveling and it comes back into the pit, if it's completely back in the pit, whatever you've brought in, you keep. If you're traveling back and your robot doesn't make it all the way back in, whatever, Gerhard, example. You pick Gerhard up, you're driving back, you get stuck on this wall here. You can pick up the robot, but at which point you have to give Gerhard to the referee, okay? And you'll lose 1 penalty point, which is 3 points, max of, that's good, that's nice. They're each 3 points, max of 6. the other portion of, if you start with something in the base and your robot drives out and does that, and it's trying to go into this portion here. Because it started in the base, you can pick it up. You don't hand this to the referee, you keep this because it started in base, and you start all over again. That's new this year. Again, one penalty point, or sorry, one penalty cube, but you're now able to restart that same mission without losing it.
Does that count if you, like, for the part where you're pushing the rover, for example, if you set it down already and then it didn't work, can you pick both back and bring them back?
No, because that's no longer part of your robot.
As soon as it falls off your robot.
Yeah, as soon as it falls off your robot. Now, there's the other part about pieces falling off your robot. If you lose a part, a wheel or whatever, and you're out there, again, the rule on that is it's just like your robot. If the rest of the robot makes it in, the wheel's off there. Like, I can keep, no, I don't know if I can run it. The rule doesn't say that you can't go and get it. It's part of your robot, you can go back and get it. Okay? It is a penalty. Okay? Because it's exactly the same as if your robot didn't make it completely back in, because this piece is still outside. Okay? So,
there's 2 questions.
okay, what do we got for questions? Go ahead.
What happens if you put one of the robot attachments on the table and then it falls off and bleeds?
Okay. You rebuild it as fast as you can. We can't stop the match once the match starts. Again, if you're rebuilding it, you can rebuild that as your one technician is driving the other robot, have the other one rebuild the component. Okay. If you drop it, it falls off. Again, if it's part of your robot, you can leave parts out of the part of your robot out there, but if you come back and get them, it's a penalty. You can leave them out there, just carry on, no penalty if your robot makes it back into base.
Are we allowed to get more than 6 penalties?
Nope. Nope. The max is 6 penalties. Each penalty is 3 points apiece. So the max is minus 18.
I think he's asking if their score will still count if they get more than 6 penalties.
Well,
They physically can't get more than 6 penalties.
They don't get
But
disqualified.
they'll lose 18 points, but they could keep playing, right?
Yes.
yes.
So what happens if they keep trying to retrieve the robot? Like 10
You can,
times?
once you've hit your 6.
Once you hit your 6, it's a free-for-all.
Once you're after that.
Strategically, go nuts.
Yes, just keep playing. We recommend the kids just keep going.
And
Go,
I can
go.
talk as a coach, strategically, the penalties are only worth 3 points this year.
Yes.
Most you could lose is 18. So if you're trying to run a mission that's worth 24, and you've got your 18.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Go, go, go.
What I think she's saying about that is, in previous years it's been worth 5. Now they've lowered it to 3.
Yeah. And sometimes strategically, it may be, instead of driving all the way back, it may be worth it to go pick up your robot, take your 3 points, start your next mission. If that saves you 30 seconds, and let you get another 40 points, that 3 points is nothing. I can tell strategy. So.
Just a couple more things, and then I'll pass over the questions. I lost it. The cube here, off the 3D printer, we're going to try and make sure that it's always the smooth side bottom. Okay, there's lots of different ways we can put it in. We are going to talk about having it, the nibs on the top, always. If you happen to see it and you're running that mission, because it won't slide as well the other way, we've just decided that that's the one, we're going to do it that way all the time. Okay. If a team can't make it to an event, can't make it, we will adjust with a fill-in team. So what happens is, if you're competing on this field, we will always have another team competing at the same time. Okay? Just because if they can't make it for whatever reason, or they've had to leave, we will always have, every competition needs to have 2 teams on the fields, both fields at the same time. Any other questions? Again, I know I've talked with borderlines. We will always try and give the benefit of the doubt, and we ask that the teams always work with Grace's professionals. And any interaction with parents, mentors, referees, judges. Okay. Heather,
The food chamber mission.
yes.
Is it, I know it starts like this, right?
Yeah, this one's not quite in the right spot.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be the light.
gray up
The
there.
light gray, yeah.
But anyway, once this is hit and this drops down, like, is that points? Oops, that's too far. But 1's points, 2's points, and then if it goes all the way in, it's not worth
Not
points?
point, yes, yeah,
So
because it turns
any
to.
of those first couple positions are worth
yes.
the points.
Hey,
Yep.
sorry, what was that end positions? I thought it was just the.
I thought it was just green.
Well, it's
Nope.
not in the right, it's not
It's
set
not-
up correctly,
Right?
but it can't be
green
pushed
as well
all the
as
way to
the-
the back.
Right,
All
'cause
the
then
way
you
to
go
the back,
past
it's-
green.
It's no
It's a
points.
binder.
Right?
It has to be somewhere in the middle.
As long as that back.
They just have it set up backwards, the wrong colors
Yeah.
in the wrong spot.
Okay.
I thought it had to be,
Brown to green to the.
I thought it had to be green.
yeah, I thought it had to be
So
drop
right
it
there.
No, so when it starts,
Yes.
so this should be
That
beige
should
right
be-
now.
yeah.
Yes.
So beige should be up here, it's in the wrong
Yeah,
spot.
it's in the
So
wrong spot.
If it's hit like that, that's points.
I thought it was.
That's points.
It has to be down. This has
That's
to be-
points. And then all the way in is no points.
No
So
points.
anywhere in position there is points. So it starts
The
at this
green
spot,
only?
that's where points.
I thought it
that's
was
where
the
No,
points.
it's only green only.
So you can sit there and
So
push
it's
it,
showing
stop there,
It shows
get points,
here.
push it again, get more points,
Yeah.
push it
No,
again.
only one
Yes.
spot.
Only one spot.
It's
No,
only the
well,
green.
The gray weight is dropped after the green, but before the tan.
Right, so in the position here, it starts at, so after the green, so this would be green.
Yep.
So this would not be green right now, so that's
Yeah.
worth points.
Yep.
That's also worth points. Then tan would be here, so then that wouldn't be. So there's two positions that this is worth points.
There's two
Just the
spots.
weight has to be, as long as.
Well,
the
where's the
weight's
other
As long as
Yeah,
the
the
weight's
other
on,
one's set up
this
for
one's
you?
not in the right, that looks like it's in the right position.
Right, so,
Where's
okay,
our-
so here's tan, right,
Yeah,
that's
this
where it
one's done
starts.
correctly.
Yeah.
This is up currently.
Yeah.
That's pushed, that's worth points.
And that's what
That's
points.
worth points.
And then nothing.
That is not
Nothing.
worth points, cause it's
Yes.
back up again.
Right,
It hasn't
okay.
dropped.
So there's
Oh,
nothing.
okay, so I just thought it already scored in the green.
No.
So either of those two positions, that's
As
good,
long as
okay.
it's dropped,
Yes.
Yeah.
and
And
then
it's-
before tan, right, so before the final position, so.
That's
I don't
good
think
to
it
know.
actually.
No points, that's
pushed
points,
all the way, and I
points.
don't think it actually
Nope,
drops.
No, it doesn't.
How we set it up, this one's not lined up correctly.
Okay.
It should have that start. Yeah.
Good, good, okay.
It can't be in that position.
Cool, good stuff.
Okay. And you can push or pull that. If you push it,
Too far, you can pull it back.
Pull it back, exactly.
So we've had issues with this coming down
Okay.
at times, just the way it
Yeah.
takes little effort to knock that bad boy
Yes.
over.
Yeah. Now-
Are they gonna be fastened in the corners or no?
Yes, well, what I said.
Same with over here?
At the very beginning.
Yeah.
So when I
You
talked
told
about
me just the sides would be, yeah?
Yes, this is gonna be flush with south.
Yeah.
We're allowed to put tape here
Right,
and
tape along the end.
tape along the full end. And we're gonna tape
Okay,
those
so
two.
that'll
Yeah.
keep that from coming up too, eh?
Yes,
Okay,
it
all right.
should, it should to some degree, like I said, and that, why I use that definition of here is there's next to nothing on this side, so if
Right,
you're
right.
lifting that.
Yeah,
it's-
that'll move
The
around.
whole will lift up.
Yeah, okay, good, good.
Okay. And again, the refereeing, we're not too worried about scoring per se, it's more or less completion and not completion. Okay, so ideally, this is the paper version of what the students will see. Okay, any more questions? Like that? Good luck, guys. And you're more feel free to play.
One big one I want
Oh,
to
sorry.
make sure kids understand, and this is the one I always see kids struggling with. So the robot goes out, it does its mission, it makes it halfway in, and the wheel falls off, and the kids grab it, that's a penalty.
Yes.
So it has to be 100% completely in base before the kids grab it. But again, strategically, it's if your robot's there and is struggling to get in, take your penalty and go, right? But a lot of kids get a lot of penalties because they get eager. It's coming back and they grab it before it's
Crosses.
if they would have waited that one more second. So that's
And also remember that if you have an attachment on the front of it, okay, that robot, if it's attached to your robot, it's all part of your robot.
Has to be in.
completely in. So this one here, even though I've got pieces
The
stuck
line is
on
the same as usual, yeah, right, the big one.
Yeah, yeah, so it's all right. So if your parts are still outside and you grab it, that's not completely in. One of the things with a lot of these jigs that people have, as you can see on this portion here, if my robot was designed here, I'm not completely in. My robot's in, I'm connected, attached to the jig, but I don't have enough room for my robot to completely come back in. So one of those things that they may want to watch to make sure, because as from a referee standpoint, is the robot completely in? No. Penalty.
So even if you've got the attachment or object on the front and it comes fully into base, your back wheels are out of the base, that's still considered out.
Where are you, regards to coming back this way?
Yeah, say you came back in from,
Yeah.
you had the attachment on the nose of that, just like you were
Yeah.
showing.
Yes.
And it's all the way in, the piece is all the way in, and you stop here.
No. Just
So
technically.
you don't get that, cause that's still part of the robot, right?
Well,
Okay.
it depends whether it's started in the base or it's started out in the field.
Right,
If
yeah.
it's started in the field.
Something bringing it back.
But those you're taking back in?
Yeah,
And
the
that's,
whole thing has to come
and
in.
that's gonna be a big thing if your attachment's dragging it and you grab your robot,
That's not it.
you don't get that piece.
Yeah.
Which will be,
Oh,
which
okay.
will be a big one, and that's actually a really good mission, cause I'm sure lots of teams are trying to get those back to base and have a big, huge
big arm.
square. And if that whole, even if this piece gets in, but your attachment's still hanging out a bit,
You lose all.
you lose them all, cause it didn't make it back to base.
That's good to know.
Okay.
Any other questions
Do you actually have a display of
for the
this?
coach?
2 minutes and 30-second run, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll let other people look at this. This is going to be the iPad software that they sign off on. This is way better than last year. Because I love it, because just like last year, and this is the kids that need to understand, the ref's going to say, oh, solar panel away, no, yes. So, and this, a lot of times the kids don't read the description, but this one I like because it gives the points. So the kids know if they knock that down, they get 18 points. They may not quite understand the wording 100%, especially in the heat of competition, but it shows it right there. I got 18 points. So at the end, there's a spot at the bottom the kids have to sign off. And they put their little signature in there, which is really cool, and he says submit.
It's not much different than the into orbit scoring app.
Yeah, but
No
normally
sign
at the table, they just had the yes, no, and you had to agree with the yes and no's.
Yeah.
And,
Just
and
the
there was,
scoring app, you can see it go, yeah, we've done, we haven't done, we
Yeah.
can do it.
Yeah. And that's,
Shows your points.
yeah,
and the
that's the
kids
big
know
one.
the points more than they know the description,
Those
like,
are
is the solar panel tilted to the opposite field?
Yeah. And the
Which one's the opposite field? They just know they scored 18 points, which is really nice, I like this.
And the
Give it
referees,
total at the end.
And it gives you your total points too.
and again, the referees won't comment on any of this actual scoring, because that still goes to the scorer's table.
Yeah.
So the score table then has to go and just verify.
But unlike that one, the kids are gonna walk away from the mission, from the run and know
They'll-
basically how many points they have.
Yeah,
so they
but
can-
I can ask Brian's kids from last year, and they could tell me probably every exact amount of scoring within 5 points
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah.
So they know.
Which is
They-
better though, yeah, it's true. Last year, the kids walked away and they
Also,
said,
like,
oh, it was
do I
a really
remember
good
did I
run,
get
I
that? Did I
think
get that?
we
I forget,
scored
forgot
this.
or whatever.
They should say, oh, I'm pretty sure well, they'll know exactly, like, for one mission in, it says total 18 points.
Yeah.
And beautiful.
Okay.
So I do like this, this is gonna be a huge improvement.
Okay, perfect. Anything else? That's good. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thank
Good
you. Thanks,
luck.
Darcy.
If you have any questions,
Okay.
you know, you guys can reach out, Heather or whatever can reach out, or vice versa.
So every Friday, if there's any changes, it's gonna be on that first
Yeah,
Lego.
first Lego, it's on the YouTube site as well. I think Heather should have the updates. And I check them so Friday at 3 p.m. On the meetings before both events, I will actually have the printout of whatever, if there is something there. Usually week 2, there's something. Usually week 1, they haven't really found something yet, but as they find something, modifies
Yeah.
it. The
You
benefit
should
of-
have the link, but I can resend it to everybody. It's just in the challenge guide. And
Yeah.
And it is up on the bottom of the screen on the stream, so if you go back to the stream, which will be a video, that'll be up on YouTube.
How do we find that on YouTube? What are we looking for?
It was in the email link.
Oh,
There's a link.
Can the kids manipulate the satellites? 'Cause because that was one of the changes in the challenge updates. So it says, you know, that they'll do their best, that they may change, but can they manipulate them like this if they want, or?
You can have it any way you'd like.
Okay.
It just, they can't manipulate by doing.
By taking a piece off.
And putting it like
Okay.
that. Like, you can, you can.
Can't rearrange it.
You can't rearrange, you can't
What's
rebuild
your
it.
team doing?
But you can adjust that.
Okay.
use- So, that's why they did that, and again, why they explained why there is,
It's not
this,
the string.
the string has nothing to do with
It's
that.
just only to carry it.
It's just to carry it, it's just easier, and we can pick it up easier, and carry it if that's what they gave. They decided to give lots of these little today.
This is one of my favorite parts. I love seeing how the same mission, every team will do it differently.
And remember, anything, as long as it's Lego, you can use it. Okay, Lego, Lego, Lego. Anything that we see that's not Lego, and there's lots of different variations of Lego. You know, they build cities with them. So as long as it's Lego, it'll be allowed.
Yeah.
You're allowed to compete with
That
it.
means no tape, no zip ties, no
They make Lego
no
zip
duct
ties?
tape. I wish they made Lego duct tape.
They actually make a Lego elastics and Lego string.
Yeah, Lego elastics are okay, that's
Yes.
fast.
Yeah.
All right,
Lego duct tape would be nice too.
Yes.
is it all clear?
Clear as mud.
Everybody clear
Perfect.
as mud?
Perfect. Have more questions, because in 2 weeks we'll get to stand up and we'll do this all again.
So Darcy will do the coaches meeting again. I forget what time we've pegged him for, I think 8:30. And just do a quick debrief again with any questions with all of the teams, 20 teams this year. And
Yeah, and
we're here till 2 o'clock if you guys want to keep working on robot questions, whatever.
So the teams that are here, it's a great benefit. You can actually do it. We'll actually score you. We'll actually do you with the timer. And the kids can actually get the feel for the real competition, and we'll be real grouchy coaches and refs, and we'll
How
mark
many,
you wrong, and you have to correct
grouchy
us.
refs.
And
How many
stuff like
tables
that.
are you guys fitting on the stage? Like, how is it?
3 competition tables, which
So
means
6,
6
okay.
tables, yeah.
And how many practice tables?
There are hopefully 4, but for sure 3.
And how many practice rounds?
1.
1.
um,
But 4 competition.
4 competitions.
Yes.
But if you want, you can have 4 practice and 1 competition.
just a,
What about,
And, like, for
what
real-
if you, I suggested before, you know what I mean, if you wanted more practice time, bring a table and maybe that doesn't work or whatever because there's no space. What about bringing your own mat and rolling it
lay
out
it
on
on
the
the
floor
carpet.
and
There's not a lot of space.
There's no penalty to it, like there's no.
No, you
so you
can.
find a
Pieces.
corner and you're like,
Yeah,
"This
find
is-
a corner.
Yeah.
you only have a certain Lego piece on there because you're trying to work on something.
one of the last thing I'll leave you with is remember all interaction, student to referee, anything your final say comes to the head referee. Okay, we're always going to work on gracious professionalism, and no videos. Video has no weight bearing on anything at all. So lots of parents, feel free to videotape. But if you think we've misscored something or you think you've got it in, you know, we're on a time constraint. So every 2.5 minutes we're running more teams through as fast. With 20 teams, we'll be going fast. So I'll be more than eligible and able to discuss any situation.
On breaks.
On break, and anything that's, but please don't come to me with a video. It has no bearing. I can't accept it. I can't talk about it. I can only talk about what's on the actual sheet versus what the referee saw.
And at the end of the day, we all should be teaching our kids, and the kids should understand it's really not about the score and who wins, right? It's about the journey and what we learn along the way. So as long as everybody doesn't lose sight of that, the day will go great.
Yeah.
It's when the team's getting upset because they think they should have got 5 more points or something like that. That shouldn't happen at this tournament. Should be, you guys had the best run of your life, or anyway, it's our job as the adults and parents to make sure we steer it in the right direction.
How much time do the kids have to set up initially before the tournament?
They've said 1 minute. That'll be, again, the referee's discretion. How it will start is the official timer, scorekeeper will give a thumbs up. They'll look to me. I'll get a thumbs up from each referee. There'll be a referee on each table. The referee will sit with both teams and make sure that they are completely set The time constraint is they say that you need to set up within a minute. If we find a team that's taking a little bit longer, we will have a chat with them just to say, okay, can you firm up your time frames, because we're always, you know, it's unfair to the rest of the teams that if you get 3 minutes to set up, they have 1 minute to set up. Okay, but I'm not timing 1 minute. it's minute, 20 seconds, minute and a half, whatever it happens to be. If we see it's again taking a little longer, we'll ask them, just be prepared, be ready when you come up, but they're often, okay, we're ready to go.
Yeah.
It's that, and we will not start until I get a thumbs up from the two technicians. And then each referee who's responsible gives me a thumbs up. We give a thumbs up to the scorer. MC starts the race. Is it MC? MC this year?
Game announcer.
Game announcer.
Yeah. Just for the rookie, any of the rookies, you'll be queued. So there's people that will come and make sure that, say, refrigerators are supposed to be at the table next. So you'll be queued. It's all in the auditorium. So they'll have you over on the left-hand side of the stage waiting. And then once that one goes, then once that table's complete, then that queue will come in and that one will go off. All right. All right.
That's it.
Thank you, Darcy. That was awesome. Wow. All right. Stay for questions.
Questions,
Stay
put your
play.
ropes on the table,
Yep.
have some fun.
Get the experts' advice.
First LEGO League is a fun, exciting, mentor-based experiential STEM program for kids ages 9 to 16. It's an alliance between FIRST, an international organization to inspire young people founded by Dean Kamen, and the LEGO Group. It's one in a progression of 4 FIRST programs designed to foster 21st century life skills and spark kids' interest in science, technology, engineering, and math, so they become innovative problem solvers able to tackle the world's biggest challenges. Each year, FIRST LEGO League teams are presented with a real-world theme, like transportation or waste management. Over a minimum 8-week season, they select and research a problem based on the topic, then devise innovative ways to help solve that problem. Teams also build and program a LEGO Mindstorms robot to solve a series of robot game missions, all while practicing the signature core values, which emphasize good sportsmanship and having fun. If you'd like to get involved with FIRST LEGO League in your area, visit us online.